Afternoon YouTube, this is my review of the Skyline 1084, but with a different option than normally would come with the knife when you order it. Got this knife in about 2 months ago, maybe 2.5 months ago, via a sale that Blade HQ was offering for $19.99, and couldn't go wrong with it, so I decided to pick it up. I received the knife in, and let's talk a little bit about it. First and foremost, it's a fixed blade, as you can already pick up on, with a stonewash finish on the blade, and made in the USA, which was obviously a bit of an interest to me. Knife is made out of 14C28 steel, which is a Sandvik steel, so it's a good metal, real good metal. Blade is, it is of good size, which what I mean by that is 3 1/4 inches. The overall knife is 7.38. Uses G10 scales on the knife as far as for the handle. It's got a good shape to it, and I would think that this knife could serve many different purposes, whether it be hunting, whether it be outdoors, woods, whether it be EDC, whether it be some type of primary or secondary defense, but a lot of different applications. Skyline on a folder is an extremely popular knife, and I don't see any reason why the fixed blade would be any different. The fixed blade was offered by Cabela's, I believe it or not, and then they were sold a large stock to Blade HQ that offered the deal. I believe now the knife is $29.99 from Blade HQ. Not sure what the Cabela's price is, and it comes in with a black G10 scale or a orange. Obviously, if you're going to use this as an outdoor knife and you're going to use it for a hunting knife, I would probably go with the orange, easier to find when you put it on the ground. And if you're going to use it for an EDC, or if you're going to use it for defense, then black makes the best option. But the knife comes in either one of those two colors, and as far as I can see, has many different types of applications. Most people don't think of a fixed blade as an EDC, but it's obviously the quickest knife to deploy. It's already set up, ready to rock and roll from when you take it out of the sheath. And this knife is so small in the sense of what a normal fixed blade you would think of, and weighs practically nothing. This knife is 2.8 ounces. That it could really fit that role of EDC. Wear it around your waist, do not wear it around your neck. I've seen a lot of people this size of knife refer to them sometimes as a neck knife, but I don't know why you would put a knife that close to your jugular or anything else like that. So keep that in mind around your waist, even as a boot knife if you put a clip onto it. But let me tell you some of the drawbacks I have found with the knife. Obviously the weight's perfect. The overall size I think is a good size for many different applications. But I got the knife and it came in with this particular sheath. It's your leather white stitched sheath. The knife's got good retention in it. It's just not something that I would use. Even in a hunting application, it's just not something that I like. You can already see that I've never used it, and the stitching's already coming up in one place. That's the way it came into me. It doesn't have that same Kershaw type quality that the knife does. And it goes back to what I've always seen sometimes in knives. Is you come in with a great knife and the sheath is junk, but unfortunately you don't use the knife as much as you like it because there's no way to carry it. That's a problem, and I know there's a lot of good sheath people out there that are fixing and correcting it. I really wish the manufacturer would. It's only a good knife if you can put it to use, and really you need a total package, both sheath and the knife, to be of high quality, or at least something that is something that the typical one of us, if not all of us, would use out there. So let's take a look at that. It hides well within the sheath. It's got, like I said, very good retention. The knife is not going anywhere inside the sheath. I just don't like the black leather. Retains water. It's nothing more than a sponge if it gets wet. And the overall purpose I don't like is it's not something that I would use for carry. It's very difficult to strap onto anything. And like I said, you could use it as a belt loop, but it's such only sense of attachment. And if you wanted to do anything else with it, it'd be restricted and be difficult to do it with. So what I did is I saw that Blade HQ was offering a Kydex sheet from Linos. Now, part of the issue you're going to find is you're going to say, well, you may pay $19.99 for the knife, which was an extremely good deal, but this Kydex sheath is somewhere around $26, and I couldn't agree with you more. It's a bit different way to go, is if you're buying separate pieces and parts, the overall package is going to be a lot more expensive than what you typically spent, and we're approaching 50 bucks now for everything sheath and knife. But this to me gives you applications, gives you different types of use, and more importantly, it gives you different ways to attach it, whether it be to your belt, whether it be to a backpack, whether it be to your boot, whether it be to anything. To me, this Kydex Sheath has a lot more options and is a little bit more towards what I would use out there in the field. It's got a drain to it at the very bottom. They drilled out a hole for it. It's obviously got some parts for attachment, and you could probably either put an easy clip onto this, or you could obviously just use any type of string or rope or any type of cord and just attach it to whatever you wanted to attach it to, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this on a small day backpack. So it's going to be just strapped to the shoulder strap, which this is a good knife for that. Usually you get a knife that is too big, and when you strap it onto a shoulder strap, it takes up too much space, and it's hard when you're putting a fixed blade onto a shoulder strap that bends for it not to become in the way, so to speak. So this is a much smaller knife. You can do that in many different applications, and to me it just makes a little bit more sense. It's got a very, very positive clip once you push it in, and you know, this little thumb ramp that they built into the Kydex Sheath allows for an easier deployment. It's secured in the sense it's not going anywhere once it's in, and the manufacturer that made the Kydex Sheath, again, the name was Linos, is very smooth. They sanded it out very nicely. Everything was fit and finish, was very well done. But again, you're spending 26 bucks. You would hope that for a Kydex Sheath that probably costs somewhere in the neighborhood of $2 or $3 to manufacture, that they would make it in a very nice format. So there's what you got. Finished product, which is again something that I would put to use a little bit more. Pay no attention to the tape in the background. I noticed in my last video I was traveling off screen way too much with the product, so the tape is nothing there in the background than to remind me where the center of the camera shot is. Blonde like myself needs all the help he can get. Okay, let's talk about something else that would be a good option for this product. Again, I don't have a lot of different options in this small fixed blade size. Something again would be considered maybe an everyday carry. What I do have that I like quite a bit is this BK14. The BK14 is a very, very popular knife. Again, so is that Skyline from Kershaw. And so what you got is you've got a knife very, very similar size, different kind of sheath to it in the sense of, I'll go into a little bit of a detail of it. It has no scales, of course the BK14 comes with. Don't make fun of my paracord here. Wrap job is one of the first ones that I've done, and it serves a purpose. I possibly would want to go back at a later time and buy scales for it. There's some aftermarket scales for this particular knife that obviously comes in that $25 to $30 range, makes the knife overall much more expensive, but that would be the route I eventually go in. The knives themselves are very, very similar in size, almost identical, if not identical. You've got a surface obviously onto the BK14. Got a little bit more of a belly onto the knife. Width of the knives are almost identical. If I had to guesstimate, probably like 0.18, 0.17, and you cannot tell a difference between the two as far as width is concerned. I've got a lot of skateboard tape on this knife, just give a little bit more traction. I would like to put jimping on both. I'm not very good at it, and until I find a better way to do it other than the Dremel and the cutting bit, then I'm probably not going to do it again. I don't want to screw up any other knives. So this is what you got. You got different widths, obviously a different painted surface. Length is again almost identical. I think that the Skyline is a bit longer in the handle, which I think makes it a little bit more comfortable to handle. The BK14 is just a little bit short. I can get my hand on it, but again I have a medium-sized hand. A little bit more of a belly, again as I mentioned, on the knife itself. A better application for this knife would be outside wilderness, maybe for skinning. Very, very strong knife. It's made out of 1095 they consider a Crovan still, and don't know much about it. This knife is 3 1/4 as far as blade length, and this one, as I said, 3.25. So this knife's got a little bit longer blade. The sheath is some type of glass reinforced nylon, so again, I'm going to call it plastic. If you've seen in my other review, that's pretty much what I call these types of knives. And very easy entry, very secure inside of it. You know, it's not coming out or anything else like that. One thing I do not like about this knife is that, as you can see, the knife with the sheath, it doesn't take up near as much room. I wish they would have cut out the excess plastic. It'd been a little easier to use as an EDC because there would have been less room, less space, less product visible. And so I don't know why they have all this extra plastic. I'm not sure what the rationale behind it. I would have preferred that they didn't go with it. This knife goes into a bug out bag I have. One of those ribs bug out bags that I really like that bag a great deal. Maybe I'll do a review on it and what I carry in it. But this is the knife that goes into it. I really do like fixed blades, and even in this size, I think they serve a large purpose, and maybe even a growing purpose, like I said, in an everyday carry type application. Although the lockup nowadays on a folder is amazing. I think, you know, the various, whether it's liner lock or a lock back or whatever it may be, I think the lockup of a today's day and age knife is much more robust and stronger than what we grew up with. So, but still, the fixed blade, I think more people are using them than ever, but still very few in the overall grand scheme of things. So that's the VK14 in comparisons. Again, if I was using this knife, it would be for a hunting application. It would be for maybe a skinning application. Maybe throw some different type of paracord on there with a color scheme, maybe bright and brilliant, so I could find it when I put it down on the ground, because I lose everything. But for an everyday carry and for a defense roll, I do like this Kershaw 1084. For the price point, I think it's a fantastic knife. Even if you didn't capture it on the deal, still $29.95. The thing that kind of screws up the deal for me a bit is the fact that this leather sheath is not something that I would put to a use. And if you don't have a problem with that sheath, then the knife is a bargain in itself. And as a option, of course, you could go with this Linos Kydex Sheath for $26 and some change. I haven't seen anywhere else besides Blade HQ. I could be wrong, and I'm not trying to advertise for them. There's a lot of different other places to go buy gear and knives and sheaths and all kinds of stuff. But that's my review. If you guys got any questions about the knife itself or anything else like that, or if you guys have any tips on jimping that you've done or used and had some success with, I would be extremely interested in hearing your thought of that. There's a lot of knives that I get in that I'd like to add some jimping to that unfortunately don't have it on there. By the way, if I didn't mention it, both knives are made in the USA. If that's a big deal for you, then by all means grab one. To me, the quality of the knife is the number one point. Where it was made is secondary. So keep that in mind. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you guys about it. Got any questions or comments, leave them below. Take care.